In the last episode of Zoo Sicily, we actually did this wonderful Jaguar habitat with a lot of things to see. We started with a beautiful viewing area like this one. We had an indoor view like this over here. We built a beautiful overpass where they can switch from A to B. And then we also have a leftover area that we haven't tackled. And this actually is the very thing we are going to do today. So enjoy that one and let's get started. But before we actually get there, we have to do one more thing that is super important too, and that is the underwater view of the Jaguar when they eventually will dive over here. This one in particular was a lot of fun, and also it should be relatively enjoyable for you to watch because it is built from the Explore mode cam, the former known Tejet cam, I should say. I really hope you guys enjoy this a lot more because it should keep the camera relatively stable being in this tight space down here. There was really not another chance to build in here other than that. I always wanted to do something like this. If you remember, I already talked about that like a year ago when they changed this, but we never did this, so that's a good situation now to do it. Anyhow, I really hope you guys enjoyed the little break from Zoo Sicily, and you maybe are here now and really looking forward to what is happening. I'm gonna use this voiceover today to give you a bit of an idea to where we are going. I have already posted a big explanation what's going on right now in my life and in my how the situation is. If you have read that on YouTube already, you are perfectly informed. If not, I'll take these couple seconds here to explain before we then talk about this very build and the future of Zoo Sicily in specific. Now, it's been very tough to produce videos lately, simply because I don't have time at all. I'm really missing it, simply because it is kind of my balance I need in my everyday life to sit down in the evening, put a podcast on or something, and then just keep building. And since I don't have that, I also felt pretty imbalanced, not gonna lie. It's not only like a feeling, it really shows how stressed I am and stuff like that. But simply because of everything here in the house, the catastrophe going on with all the problems we had, I'm just done in the evenings. So there's no chance to sit down and do something. I tried a couple of times, but it just never worked out. And so I finally found the time now to build in here for a good 2 hours or so, bringing that in. And this is also why I'm fixing the Jaguar first before starting something new. Hope this is good by you. It's not like the most catchy thumbnails of all times, and it's also not the most intricate build of all times, which is down to the fact that I needed to focus first. But I wanted to finish this very beautiful area, and we're still not exactly finished because the interior work of the actual cage of the Jaguar is still due to be done, but this is something I will eventually do in a live stream. Speaking of which, I would have loved to be on Twitch, live on Twitch for so many more times already, but the problem is we still don't have proper internet. We still only have like an LTE stick, which is obviously super unreliable when it comes to a constant internet connection. Like, you can do most of the things, I can upload videos and stuff, it just takes longer, fine, but it still does work. But it's like you don't have the chance to stream, which is a pity because the time to stream would have been available, and I could have shown you the room and stuff like that. But there will be things to come, stuff like a vlog or stuff like, you know, the basic building process of most of the parts of the house I have recorded. I tried my best. At a certain point, everything got so stressful that I forgot to film, so we have some bigger gaps in between, but I think it's not too bad because the gaps are visible for me, but maybe not to the viewer out there, because there is an expectable progress seen between the two steps, but then again, there's no footage in between. But you know, I'm drifting away. And this is why I couldn't do too much, and also why Sicily has been a little bit, not on a hold, but I couldn't do as much as I would love to, because I have some very specific ideas to really make a transition from the central area where we have the big cats, like we have the Jaguar now, we've got the lion, and into a more tropical area that is more to the central of the zoo, where it also is a bit more grown, whereas the outskirts will remain a bit more sandy and deserty, and, you know, just really playing with the contrast that Sicily does offer, even though Sicily is most of the times a bit more deserty and a bit more dry, rather than, you know, it's not dry, it's by any means, but it's not like a jungle or a rainforest, but still there's loads to do in this area, and this is why I came back. So you can see I'm also doing some of I reacted to most of your comments, okay? So if you are one of these skipping people who skip to this point in time, don't do this, because you will see now I am reacting to all of your comments, not only by reading out to them, Oh my god, did you hear that knocking? That was my dad, basically, who is building something outside. He knocked on the window. Back to the point. I'm not. I'm not only answering to those comments. I'm actually reacting by building. And you guys were obviously right to say that some of the security measurements in here, in order to realistically prevent the Jaguars from escaping, were not really doing their job, and so I improved those. We are still not quite there into hyper realism, but as I said, I don't want to go this route, so it should be like, in the first glance, should be realistic, but we have a realism series for that, which is not ongoing, but it's eventually there will be a new episode. It's not even that long ago that we had the last episode of this, which was the beautiful seal habitat, or sea lion habitat, which I loved. I loved building, so really looking forward to the next one. But before I'm talking about too much what is in the future, let's talk about the present, and that is one of the coolest buildings we have in the zoo. And this is a building with a lot of purposes and a lot of good reasons to exist. Now, I again try to, go on with the design of Sicily architecture. I try to bring in another one, which is totally not a completely new one. It's basically just an adaptation from what we already have in the entrance area. And I also try to play with a different kind of color scheme. We are still using the limestone pieces with different types of yellowish and orange tint. This time we're mixing it not with the brick texture, but actually with the white limestone texture. I found some cool inspiration images of a little alley in Sicily that looked a little bit like that. And this time around we kind of mixed this with the actual in-game terracotta roof. There are some other clay roof designs I still like, but I'm trying to use this one, trying to bring in, as I said, a tiny bit of realism by putting a gutter here. It's not like in 100% perfectly accurate because there is still the connection missing. I'll do that later because this building facility, as I said, will have multiple purposes. So first of all, it's going to be a shop front for the Jaguar area. So this is the balcony that we have, like you're going up this little hill, but at the same time it will also hold another hub of facility buildings for our keepers and backstage area in general for the staff. And at the same time it's also like another toilet facility, which we are going to like a restaurant facility, which we are having a little bit as a laid back thing, because you don't want to have this smelly toilet too close to the road, and this is why I moved this one here. And then I also try to bring in some of these arcs we already used in the build of the Jaguar habitat to just kind of go on with the architecture. And I think this is in particular very interesting because the architecture of this project is not meant to be the architecture for each region of the world or anything. I'm just trying to make the best of both worlds in a way. Like we are not going to see like Asian cultural architecture. We are not going to see too much like South American or whatnot temples or no. But this is not what I'm opting to do. My attempt is to make sure that the habitats look like mostly from the region in terms of the nature and the usage of nature and the layout itself. But the overall look and feel should still fit into the Sicilian style. So I'm not really here to build different regions as I did in other series, for example, like themed regions. I will have certain little elements maybe in there, having some tiny kind of statues or whatnot, but the overall attempt is really to go with the style of Sicily and with all the different elements, because it is very rich. We have a lot of things in. We have the Mediterranean architecture in there. We have a lot of Roman stuff. We do have Roman ruins, but we also have other influences. We have African influences in here. We can go with a very mainstream kind of architecture, like Europe mainstream. There's a lot we can do. We can do some very floral inspired stuff. So there is a whole range of things we can use, which is great because that is not going to limit me. But I'm really going for a more cohesive look at the end of the day. And yesterday I spent a couple of minutes actually just wandering around this park and just checking if this attempt is still working, and I think it's working better than ever. I'm really trying to get a bit more also bold and a bit more brave with the usage of different plants and stuff, because I think I've been a bit too limited to the palette I defined at the beginning. So I might be able to go a little bit more crazy now. As you can see, I'm also trying to separate certain areas from each other, because this little pathway you just have seen that splits up to the left hand side will lead into another area. You guys can guess which animal we are going to have here. I will give you some hints. The animal is very unexpected, and it's one of these animals I have very, very little work done for. I think overall, in total, I've done 2 habitats ever for this animal, even though it is an OG animal of the base game, and it is potentially one of the most, one of the most used animals in Planet Zoo. I would at least assume so. Simply because it's such a fan favorite. Many hints here already. And also, this animal requires quite a bit of space, so it's going to be to the left here, and the other side of this building over here will be actually also the building which holds the backstage facility of the actual animal. And we are going to play with some of the olive trees for the animal, even though it's super complicated to bring it together in a way, but on the other side, you guys have asked so much for having also like an olive tree garden or something like that. So I'm really trying to combine that. It's going to be a very interesting design. I have done some scribbles on that already. I'm going to share them with you once we build this, but yeah, I'm really interested to see what you guys will guess in the comments down below. I've already made my mind up quite a bit about this habitat. Anyways, let's speak about this balcony. I'm just doing some little fix-uppers here, and I'm also going to try to fix up a couple more things in the future. We will need some details like decals and stuff. Like tiny things have to be done, and I will do these things while I'm doing the other side of the of this building, just making sure that everything feels like one. This is why I'm not going to start with the details and decals yet, because, you know, why would I? I need to first of all finish that, see the dimensions, and this is also one thing I haven't really talked about at all. But personally, I need kind of a feeling for a building before I can go into the real details, and it's fun because the building itself, like the look of it, is made in the last 10% of the building process, while the 90% before is just mostly finding the right ratio between walls, roofs, and just kind of which form factor you want, finding the right colors, finding the right elements to fit in, and, you know, all these kind of things need to work together before you can really then go into the real appearance of the building and the character of it. And this building over here should act like a nice separation of 2 areas, but then also it shouldn't be too much in the focus of this area. I really wanted to keep this plaza the focus of the area, and the seating area needed to be a little bit more to the left hand side, so that the people who want to have a look at the Jaguar can go and actually see it in the front. There's also a good reason why there is a restaurant over here, and this is because the Jaguar isn't the loudest of all animals, but also since we have this raised plateau, the sound issue isn't as dramatic, because the sound will go up and, you know, it isn't too annoying for the Jaguar. But since it's a very shy animal and you won't see it too much, people would love to spend quite a bit of time there until the Jaguar is seen. So people would love to see the Jaguar, right? This is one of the reasons they go to a zoo for. But once you just stand there and wait for nothing, it's kind of annoying. But sitting down, having a drink and stuff, and then hoping that the Jaguar will come by eventually is something that people would do. And this is why there is a seating area with a couple of drinks to grab and also some snacks and so on. Yeah, but that's about the time lapse. Now you can see the final result over here with a little flyover. We will also have now some comparison shots at the end, and then that's it. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't subscribed yet and you want to see the future of this zoo, please consider subscribing. Yeah, I'm here for you, okay? So the next episode will feature a cool animal. As I said, I'm really interested for your guesses, but that's about it. Have a good time, stay safe, and goodbye, guys. Thank you.